Tonight, I want to speak with you about something so simple that most people no longer notice it. It sits in your kitchen. It rests on your table. You reach for it while eating, while cooking, while passing food to someone you love. A small, white substance. Quiet, ordinary, almost invisible. Salt. But in the old Jewish home, salt was never treated as ordinary. No. Salt had memory. Salt had meaning. Salt carried the language of covenant. And tonight, I want to show you a gentle practice connected to salt, your wallet, and your Parnassa, your flow of livelihood, your provision, your financial peace. Not as magic, not as a promise that money will suddenly appear. That is not the way of true wisdom. This is about something deeper. It is about preservation. It is about gratitude. It is about learning how to stop letting fear leak through the walls of your home. Because sometimes, my friend, the blessing is not only in what comes in. Sometimes the blessing is in what finally learns how to stay. Stay with me for a little while, because after tonight you may never look at the salt on your table the same way again. But before we speak about the salt, we must speak about the heart, because that is where all true teaching begins. Maybe you are watching this tonight because something in your financial life feels heavy. Not completely destroyed, not hopeless, but heavy, stuck, tired. Like you are trying, working, planning, adjusting, doing what responsible people do, and still peace does not come. Money enters your life, and before you can even feel thankful for it, it already belongs to someone else. The rent, the bills, the food, the school expense, the debt, the repair, the family need, the sudden thing that arrives at the worst possible time. And you sit there, sometimes quietly, sometimes with your head in your hands, wondering, why does it always go so fast? Maybe the hardest part is not even the money. Maybe it is the feeling that you are always behind. The feeling that there is some invisible ceiling above your life. The feeling that others seem to move forward while you keep circling the same mountain again and again. And at night, when the house is finally quiet, your mind begins its work. Numbers, dates, payments. What is coming in? What is going out? What can wait? What cannot wait? What must be paid? What might break next? And slowly the soul becomes tired. Not just the body, the soul. Because financial fear does not stay in the wallet. It enters the chest. It enters the home. It enters the way we speak. It enters the way we sleep. It can even enter the way we pray. A person can have food in the kitchen and still feel afraid. A person can have work and still feel unsafe. A person can have a little money in the wallet and still feel poor in the heart. So I want you to hear this clearly. You are not lazy. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. And your struggle does not mean you are outside the reach of blessing. Life can be hard. Money pressure can be cruel. And years of carrying worry can wound a person in places no one sees. So tonight, we do not begin with shame. We begin with compassion. Because a wounded heart does not need to be shouted at. It needs to be guided back. In Jewish wisdom, there is a word we return to again and again when we speak about livelihood and provision. Parnassa. Parnassa is more than money. It is the flow that sustains a life. It is the work of your hands. It is the food on your table. It is the strength to continue. It is the idea that arrives at the right moment. It is the person who helps you when you did not know how to ask. It is the door that opens after many closed doors. It is the wisdom to manage what you have. It is the peace to not be destroyed by what you do not yet have. Parnassa is not only what comes to you. It is also how you receive it, how you hold it, how you protect it, how you give from it, how you thank the one who allowed it to reach your home. The sages understood something that the modern world often forgets. The material and the spiritual are not enemies. They speak to each other. The way you treat your table matters. The way you treat your bread matters. The way you light a candle matters. The way you handle a coin matters. The way you place your wallet at night matters. Not because objects control heaven, no, but because objects train the heart, and the heart, when trained with intention, begins to live differently. Now let us come back to salt. In the Torah, salt is not just a seasoning. Salt is connected to covenant, Brit Melach, the covenant of salt. Salt was placed with offerings. Salt represented something enduring, something that preserves, something that does not decay quickly like bread, or spoil like fruit, or sour like wine. Salt holds. Salt keeps. Salt protects from corruption. This is why salt became so meaningful in Jewish homes. It was not only placed on food, it was placed with awareness. It was brought to the table with memory. It reminded the family that blessing must be preserved, not wasted. That a home must be guarded, not only with walls, but with gratitude, discipline, and intention. Some old families kept salt near the table. Some kept it near the doorway. Some treated the salt dish with a kind of quiet respect, especially around Shabbat. Not because salt itself was a little god, God forbid. Salt is salt. But a simple thing can carry a holy reminder. A mezuzah is small, but it changes the way a Jewish person enters a home. A candle is small, but it changes the feeling of a room. A coin is small, but it can teach a hand to open. And salt is small, but it teaches the soul to preserve what matters. So when salt is placed near the wallet, near the place where your money rests, the meaning is not, "This salt will make me rich." No, the meaning is, what enters this home should not be lost through fear. What comes into my hands should not disappear through carelessness. What I receive, I will hold with gratitude. What I have, I will protect with wisdom. What I am given, I will not treat as nothing. This is the teaching. The salt does not do the work for you. It reminds you to do the work with a different heart. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Leah. Leah was not a woman who lived foolishly. She was careful. She worked. She paid her bills as best as she could. She helped others when she was able. She did not throw money away. But for many years, she never felt peace with money. Never. Even when she had enough for the month, she worried about the next month. Even when a bill was paid, she worried about the next one. Even when food was in the kitchen, she wondered how long it would last. There was always a low sound inside her, a humming anxiety. Some people live with this sound for so long they think it is normal, but it is not peace. One autumn afternoon, Leah visited her Aunt Devorah. Devorah was an older woman, the kind of woman whose home felt calm before she even opened the door. There was always tea on the stove. There were old books on the shelf. A small Tzedakah box sat near the window. The table was simple but always clean, and there was salt on the table in a small ceramic bowl covered with a little cloth. Leah had seen that bowl many times before, but she had never asked about it. That day she sat at the kitchen table and finally told her aunt the truth. She was tired. Tired of calculating. Tired of stretching. Tired of pretending she was fine. Tired of feeling guilty when she spent and afraid when she saved. Tired of working hard and still feeling like financial peace belonged to other people. Devorah listened. She did not interrupt. She did not rush to give advice. This is the way of a wise elder. They know that pain must first be heard before it can receive teaching. When Leah finished speaking, Devorah stood up and went to the kitchen shelf. She took down a small empty bowl. Then she opened a jar and filled the bowl with coarse salt. She placed it on the table between them. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she looked at Leah and said, "In our family, we were taught that salt is not only for taste. Salt is for memory. Salt is for covenant. Salt reminds the home that blessing must be preserved. Leah looked at the bowl. Her aunt continued, "When fear becomes loud, a person begins to leak blessing without noticing. Not always through big mistakes, sometimes through panic, sometimes through avoidance, sometimes through spending just to feel alive, sometimes through refusing to look at what is really happening, sometimes through holding so tightly that the soul forgets how to give." Then Devora pushed the small bowl toward her. "Take this home. Place it near where your wallet rests at night. Not because the salt has power, but because you need a daily reminder. Every morning, before you pick up your wallet, look at the salt and say thank you. Thank you for what came. Thank you for what is here. Thank you for what I am learning to preserve." Leah wanted to smile politely and forget the whole thing. A bowl of salt? How could that help? She needed more income, better opportunities, less pressure, real answers. But there was something in her aunt's voice. It was not superstition. It was not excitement. It was calm, serious, tested by life. So Leah took the bowl home. That night she placed it on her dresser beside her wallet. It looked almost foolish there. A wallet, a bowl of salt, a tired woman standing in a quiet room, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The next morning, before she picked up her wallet, she stopped. She looked at the salt. She looked at the wallet. And she whispered, "Thank you." At first, that was all she could say. Thank you. Not because everything was solved, not because she suddenly felt full of faith, but because one honest thank you is better than 10 empty speeches. The second morning, she said it again. "Thank you for the roof over me. Thank you for the work I still have. Thank you for the food in this house. Teach me to hold what comes with wisdom." The third morning, she said it again. By the fourth morning, something small had changed. Not outside, inside. She noticed that she was opening her wallet with less dread. She cleaned it, removed old receipts, folded the bills properly, took out things that no longer belonged there. Then she sat with a notebook and looked at where her money had been going, not with hatred, not with shame, with attention. And she saw things she had not seen before, small leaks, small habits, little purchases made when she was anxious, subscriptions she had forgotten, money lost not through great failure, but through exhaustion and avoidance. She did not attack herself. That was important. She simply said, "Now I see." And when a person can say, "Now I see," healing has already begun. During that week, Leah also placed a small coin aside for Tzedakah each day. Very small, almost nothing. But the act mattered, because fear had been telling her, "Hold everything, give nothing, you are unsafe." And the coin answered, "I am still human. I can still give. My hand is not completely closed." By the seventh day, Leah's situation had not transformed, but Leah had begun to transform. And over the next months, that inner change became visible. She had a conversation with her employer she had been avoiding for 2 years. She asked for a change in her work. Her voice trembled, but she asked, and the answer was better than she expected. She also began to make decisions more calmly. She stopped living as if every expense was an enemy. She began to plan instead of panic. And when people asked her later what changed, she never said, "The salt changed my life." No, she said, "The salt reminded me every morning to stop letting fear manage my home." That is wisdom, not magic. Wisdom. Now let us open this teaching in 3 parts. The first key is covenant. Salt in Jewish tradition reminds us of covenant. A covenant is not a casual feeling. It is a commitment. It is a sacred seriousness. When you place salt near your wallet, you are saying, "I am entering a new kind of relationship with my provision." Not a relationship of panic, not a relationship of neglect, not a relationship of shame, a relationship of care. You are saying, "What enters this home matters. I will not treat it carelessly.
I will not let fear throw it around. I will not ignore it until it becomes a crisis. This one small placement shifts the posture from helplessness to responsibility, and responsibility, when carried with wisdom, is not a punishment. It is power. It means you are no longer only reacting, you are participating. The second key is preservation. Salt preserves. That is what salt does. And in the life of money, preservation matters, because not every loss is dramatic. Sometimes money leaks quietly, through disorganization, through avoidance, through fear-based spending, through emotional decisions, through old habits that once comforted you but now cost you,
through refusing to look because looking hurts. The bowl of salt near your wallet becomes a question. Every morning it asks gently, "Where is the leak?" Not to shame you, to wake you. Where is provision slipping away without gratitude? Where are you spending because you are sad? Where are you holding too tightly because you are afraid? Where are you avoiding the numbers because you do not want to feel the pain? Where are you failing to bless what you already have because you are focused only on what is missing? Salt preserves, and this practice invites you to preserve your Parnassa with attention. The third key is gratitude. This may be the deepest key. Gratitude is not pretending life is easy. Gratitude is not denying your struggle. Gratitude is not saying, "I have no problems." Gratitude is saying, "Even here, I will not become blind to what is still good." The Jewish heart is trained through blessings. A blessing before bread, a blessing after food, a blessing over wine, A blessing over candles, a blessing upon waking, a blessing even for small things. Why? Because the soul forgets. The soul gets frightened and forgets. It sees the unpaid bill and forgets the paid one. It sees the empty space and forgets the table. It sees the fear of tomorrow and forgets the mercy of today. So gratitude returns us. Every morning when you see the salt and say thank you are not telling lies. You are training your eyes. You are saying, "I see what is here. I see what has been given. I see what I am learning to care for." And a heart that sees more clearly begins to choose more wisely. Now let me give you the practice. Choose a small bowl or dish. It does not need to be expensive. It does not need to be beautiful. But let it be clean. Fill it with salt. Coarse salt is good. Sea salt is good. Kosher salt is good. Use what you have. The type is not the heart of the practice. The intention is. Tonight, place this bowl near the place where your wallet rests. On a dresser, on a shelf, on a table. Somewhere clean, not on the floor, not under clutter. Let the wallet and the salt rest near each other through the night. Before you sleep, stand there for one quiet moment. Look at the salt, look at the wallet, and say, "What enters this home, may it be held with wisdom. What I receive, may I not waste. What I have, may I bless. What I lack, may I face with courage and not fear." Then leave it there. In the morning, before you pick up your wallet, pause again. Do not rush. Even 10 seconds is enough if it is sincere. Say, "Thank you for what has come. Thank you for what is here. Teach me to preserve my Parnassa with wisdom." Do this for 7 days. On the 3rd day, take a small piece of paper. Write the word Parnassa, or write this sentence, "This home holds blessing." Now take a tiny pinch of salt and fold it carefully inside the paper. Not a lot, just a small sign. Place that folded paper in a separate pocket of your wallet. Not mixed with receipts, not thrown in carelessly. Placed with dignity. Let it be a covenant reminder, a small whisper inside the wallet that says, "I am learning to hold what comes with care." If you already have a guardian bill or coin in your wallet, place the folded paper near it. If you do not, that is fine. Let this be the beginning. During these 7 days, set aside a small amount for tzedakah. It can be 1 coin each day. It can be whatever is responsible for your situation. Do not give in a way that harms your obligations. Give in a way that opens your hand without breaking your home. Place those coins in a small jar or envelope. On the 7th day, give them, quietly, to someone in need, to a charity, to a cause that brings relief. No one needs to know. Heaven sees quiet giving, and the soul feels it. On the 7th day, replace the salt in the bowl with fresh salt. As you do, say these words: I renew my covenant with wisdom. I will not let fear rule my provision.
I will preserve what comes with gratitude. I will give with an open hand. I will receive with a steady heart. Then continue the practice if it brings you peace, or return to it whenever your home feels anxious, whenever your wallet feels heavy, whenever your spirit needs to remember that you are not only surviving, you are learning. Now, wherever you are, take a slow breath. If you can, say these words with me. What flows into my home, may it be held with wisdom. I am not defined by what I lack. I am learning to steward what I have. My Parnassa is preserved with gratitude. My hands are open. My heart is steady. My home holds blessing. Say it once more tonight before you sleep, not as a spell, as a prayer, not as a demand, as a return. Before I close, I want to speak clearly. Salt is not magic. Salt does not force money to come. Salt does not protect a person who refuses wisdom, responsibility, honesty, and action. No ancient practice should ever be used to escape real life.
If a teacher tells you, do this and money is guaranteed, be careful. That is not the voice of wisdom. The Jewish way is deeper. It teaches that the physical action can awaken the inner life. The object can become a reminder. The reminder can create a habit. The habit can shape the heart. And a shaped heart makes different choices. Better choices. More peaceful choices. More honest choices. More generous choices. The salt is not the power. The meaning is. The covenant is. The gratitude is. The decision to stop letting fear manage your wallet is. The courage to look at your money with open eyes is. The willingness to give even a little, responsibly and sincerely, is. That is where the practice begins to work, not as magic, as alignment. Because when a person becomes aligned, they begin to notice things they used to miss. They notice leaks. They notice opportunities. They notice help. They notice enough. They notice the difference between a desire and a need.
They notice when fear is speaking louder than wisdom. And slowly, the home changes. Not always quickly, not always dramatically, but truly. A little more order, a little more calm, a little more gratitude, a little more courage. And these are not small blessings. If this teaching touched your heart tonight, I invite you to write these words in the comments. My home holds blessing. Write it gently. Write it as a seed. Write it as a declaration that fear will not be the only voice in your house. Not because a comment changes heaven, but because sometimes a person needs to write a new sentence before they can begin to live a new story. And if you want to keep walking with these ancient Jewish teachings about Parnassa, Tzedakah, blessing, and the hidden wisdom inside ordinary household objects, then stay close to this channel. Subscribe as a way of joining this quiet path. Here, we do not chase empty promises. We return to old wisdom. A wallet, a coin, a candle, a table, a bowl of salt. Simple things. But when simple things are touched with intention, they can teach the soul how to come home. And in the next teaching, I want to show you another object many people overlook. Rice, grain, the seed of provision. Something small that carries the language of enough. In some homes, it was kept with intention.
In some families, it was spoken over. And in the old way of seeing, grain was never just food. It was a reminder that abundance often begins as something tiny, hidden, and easily dismissed. That teaching is coming, and it may be closer to your kitchen than you think. Until then, shalom. May the salt in your home remind you of covenant. May your wallet never rest empty of intention. May your hands remain open. May your heart become steady. May your home hold blessing. And may your Parnassa come to you in the right way, at the right time, with wisdom, dignity, and peace.